Hey, welcome back to What Andy Does. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share it with all your friends and tell everybody how cool this time is that we can spend together. Again, thanks for coming. Wanted to talk today about being the master of the fire domain. You want to be the king, queen, whatever of your fire pit, your campfire, whatever it is. This is going to be about the success that you can bring to that because the purpose of building a fire is to burn stuff. So if what you want to do is build a campfire, a bonfire, something for people to sit around, and it is just for that, this is the video for you. This is just the basics. This is not about primitive fire, how to use a flint and steel, a ferro rod, anything like that. This is just the simple basics of what to have on hand, how to prepare it, and how to be able to strike one match, use one lighter one time to get you from the very beginning of the fire till it's self sustainable, which hopefully will be just one light. It's a little windy here today, so apologize if you hear some wind on the mic. I'm testing out a new mic too, so hopefully it comes through okay. So we're going to get to it. We're going to go over some methods of how to start the fire, what to have ready, and how to build the initial fire. Stay tuned. Okay, so what we are starting with today is we are skipping the step of tinder because we're going to have an open flame, and that is going to start us on the journey of burning some wood. So, first off, you want to have a lighter, some source of ignition that is going to give you a actual flame. Um, but that's where the basics will start because you gotta learn how to do that before you get into the more complicated methods of having sparks or whatever. So we want to have an ignition source, whether it is a cigarette lighter or a grill lighter, something that produces a flame. You can have a flame extender. Like say you wanted a candle, you can do that if you don't want to be so close to the fire when you ignite it. You can use one of the big long tapers. Whatever it is, you got to start with an open flame if you're just doing this to have fun. Like I said, we're doing a campfire. This is not a cooking fire. This is not a fire for heat. This is just something for everybody to sit around and enjoy the weather. So first off, we're going to have an igniter. Then we have got to have something that's going to catch that. This is not the caveman unga bunga. We're going to do this as primitive as possible. We are talking about success. And if you need success, you may as well use everything at your disposal to bring about that success. So first off, we're going to use a lighter, but we are going to use something some people call fire starters. They're just fire aids to help catch this flame and move on from there. So we'll show you a couple of those, then move on. All right, on to fire starters. The first thing we're going to cover is fatwood. This is heart pine that comes from the center of either a dying or a dead pine tree. You can go find them out in the woods. Some people make a hobby of going out and finding fatwood. It's going to smell real heavily of turpentine or pine sap. That is an excellent way to start. Then we're going to go on to a actual prepared fire starter. This has actually got fat wood impregnated in it. It's also soaked with wax. In the center is a cotton makeup pad that will catch a spark. So this is something you would keep in a survival kit or just in your car for emergencies. This is something that will start and burn. These usually, like half of this, will have a burn time of 5 to 10 minutes. So we don't necessarily want to use this on a campfire for just enjoyment, unless that's all you've got, or if it's in bad conditions and you really want to get it going, then you want to pull this out. But what we're going to do today is we're going to focus on using fat wood. I'll bring you down and show you the way I do what's called a fire lay. It's my favorite method. There are tons of others. There's almost as many methods as there are people in the world, or at least people that like to build fires. So be right back and I'll bring you down and show you what I do. Okay, I was just advised by the legal department that we need to cover a little bit of safety. So we are in a very clear area. as far as people and dangers go. We're in a controlled environment. The ground is damp. There's no real risk of this fire spreading. I'm not going to make a huge fire, so it's just going to be something just for educational purposes. Normally, you'd want to do this in a fire ring, have some rocks laid around it. But for now, we're just going to do this kind of just as a demonstration. The first thing you want to get is your fat wood, fire starter, whatever it is. Now, the way I prepare this is I take a pocket knife. Everybody should have a pocket knife. Men, women, children, whatever. Of course, you got to train them. So you want to make a curl like that. This creates surface area for the flame to grab onto. Just create a few of these. And if you'll notice, if I can get it in frame, how I'm using my thumb to push it. I'm not pushing this way with just my hand. Using the thumb, it's more controlled. You can get this where you want it. You can go around and do this all over it if you want to. This fat wood is so good that you probably just light it without doing this. But we're going to do this anyway to show. So we've created a lot of surface area. Bring that up so you can see. So next we're going to talk about the fire lay. This is I guess a lean-to method, because what I like to do is, this is a larger piece of wood. This would be called fuel, this piece. So I'm going to build the fire near it and then lean my kindling over top of it. And what this is going to allow us to do is, because heat comes with fire and fire comes with heat, you build the fire here, it's going to light the kindling, but in doing so, you start pouring heat into this large piece of wood. It's not going to catch on fire for a long time, but you're going to start building that heat there. So when it is time for that to catch on, it's not going to take long. If you just build a fire and burn it and burn it and burn it, it's going to take a while to get a larger piece of wood like this warmed up for ignition. So we're going to build a small fire here with kindling over the top of it, and that is going to be our start to it. I want to reposition the camera so you can see what I'm doing, and then we will get this thing lit. Okay, sorry to break in on what he was doing, but I have to cover something I meant to talk about it a second ago. So we're talking about a successful fire. We're not talking about practice. We're not talking about learning anything. This is when you want to have a successful fire. You got to practice in order to have a successful fire, and I'm teaching you those steps to have a successful fire. So the way you do that is by having what you need ready to go near you and prepared ahead of time. So before you light a match, light your cigarette lighter, whatever it is, have everything laid out. It's just like we talked about in some of the cooking videos, having your mise en place, having it laid out, have your kindling and your firewood, everything set out, ready to go. Now, it's been kind of rainy around here the past couple of days, so most of the sticks and stuff that I would be burning is wet. So that is not a good way to start a fire. So what I suggest, even though it goes against a lot of things that I use, a lot of philosophies that I had about starting fires, because I always wanted to start a fire with primitive methods and, the hard way. And, don't go buy all those bundles of wood. It's just a waste of money. But here's the thing is, if you are wanting a successful fire, why would you put things in your way when you don't have to? If you're just doing this for fun, to get people around a fire, to get them talking, then have a bundle of that wood that's good and dry, well seasoned, it's easy to light and easy to get going. Then you can take that questionable piece of firewood that you've got sitting out beside your house, and maybe had some rain on it, some weather, got dirt, whatever it is. A successful fire started with good wood will help take that questionable wood past questionable and bring it into the point where it is good. So that's the biggest thing, is always have stuff set in place so you can set yourself up for success. Remember, a failure to plan I mean, yeah. We'll cut that part out. Maybe cut this part out. Remember, you plan to fail when you fail to plan. All right, so now we're going to start making our modified lean-to. So fire's going to be right here. So what we start with are small pieces, right? Stuff that, going to burn up quickly, catch fast. So you see, everything I've done has got sharp edges. Sharp edges catch quicker than round. So, for instance, this piece of wood is going to take longer to catch than that piece of wood. Even though they may be of similar size, this is going to catch quicker. So we're going to build this so we can get a flame close to it. You see there's a gap here. There's going to be access, so when we put our fire starter inside of this, the flame is going to be close, but we're not knocking anything over. We've got an open path to that. We're going to continue to build this up. Then we'll move on to the next stage. You don't want to pack it so tightly that air can't get through, because fire needs an ignition source, air, and heat. The next thing we move up to are larger pieces. So we keep building this up, building it up, and building it up. You always want to leave a clear entrance to where you're going to be putting your fire starter. And I leave the back open so air can get through. Okay, we're almost ready. All right. So we have our fire starter, have our lighter. Let's see if we can get this going. It is fairly windy out here. Because we have prepared, we're not in a rush. Let this get going on its own. We're using good materials. So now we can come in with the more questionable material. So we've got our base. Then we can pretty much move into a TP style. Move up in size. And it's okay if you knock it down a little bit, because the brilliance of having the larger piece here, even if you scatter it around, it still has a place to land. It's not going to fall flat. So being able to do this is exactly what you want when you're trying to get that fire lit for all your friends that have came over to enjoy the game or whatever it is, a celebration, a family gathering, whatever. I mean, look at that. That was just a few minutes of prep. I mean, I've only been talking now for not quite 5 minutes just on this segment, and we've got a fire that's sustainable. You can start putting larger pieces of wood, but now it's when you could start putting even more of that marginal wood on it. Thanks again for stopping by and taking the time out of your day to enjoy a little bit of education with me. It's also therapeutic for me, helps me get out here and keep my mind off of the world at large, which is a lot of times why we watch YouTube. So again, thanks for coming by. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Especially with ideas about what to do in the future. It's something I need to learn, something that you know that you want to teach me. Let me know. I'll be absolutely willing to do that. So thanks again for stopping by, for your time and your effort. I really enjoy doing this stuff for y'all, and we'll keep doing it as long as people want to watch it. So we'll catch you next time on What Andy Does.